Welcome to Stress Mess, a stressless podcast where the chaos is real, the caffeine is strong, and swearing sometimes happens, and that's okay. I'm Samantha Elizabeth, health and wellness coach, chronic overthinker, and proud BFFs to stress itself. Here we're ditching perfection, embracing unfiltered real talk, and making mindset shifts that might just keep us from screaming into the void. Let's get messy. Today's episode is called Believe Bigger, and it's one of those conversations that challenges the way you think about what's actually possible for you. I'm sitting down with Lawrence, a youth empowerment speaker who started his speaking career at just 15 and is already traveling, speaking, writing, and helping young people reconnect with who they really are. We talk about the difference between talking and speaking, how journaling reveals the beliefs quietly running in your life, and why your mind doesn't actually hear "don't." This conversation is about identity, emotional conviction, and what happens when you stop shrinking your goals to match fear and start believing bigger instead. Hello, Lawrence. How are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm doing pretty great.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. We met not too long ago, and I know, and this is something that I love about people too, is that when they introduce themselves and they want to be engaged in something that I'm doing, I love when people make good introductions. For me, I get like lots of spam emails, from people, and they want me to buy their product, they want me to sign up for their program or something like that. But you came in with a really nice introduction. So, of course, I wanted to talk about that, talk about your strategy a little bit, because I think it would probably inspire people. But I also wanted to talk about what you do on a regular basis, which is speaking. I want to talk about how did you get involved in that? But let's start off with, what do you love about speaking? Sorry, my cat is attacking me.
Well, there's a lot of things I love about it. For one, you get to see the impact you have on other people, because there's a difference between talking and speaking.
Yeah.
Talking is just when you're having a conversation with somebody. You're talking about the weather. You're talking about your day. But speaking is when you're taking a clear, complex idea,
Yeah.
trying to explain it in a way that someone can benefit from. So you can think of people like Tony Robbins. He's
Yes.
motivating people. He's helping you to improve your confidence. You could think about somebody who speaks on the subject of sales. Like, have you ever heard of Andy Elliott?
I don't know who Andy Elliott is.
So
Who
he's
is
a
that?
bald guy who
Okay.
he originally was a car salesman, and now
Okay.
he does life coaching essentially.
Oh, okay. It's kind of like
And
Zig Ziglar. He was a salesperson before too, and then he
yeah,
became more of a motivational speaker and a helper.
yeah, he's kind of like Zig Ziglar, but a
Okay.
lot more of like the aggressive type.
Okay. Like aggressive. Like,
Not aggressive in a bad way, but
no,
you know
but
how
like,
there's preachers essentially who are
oh, yeah.
very, very
Yeah.
passionate. He's
Yes.
kind of like that, but he's
Oh,
obviously not
okay.
a preacher.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look
Now,
him up, and I'll put him into the show notes for those that haven't checked him out before.
oh yeah, like a lot of his stuff I use where he teaches not just the art of communication,
Mm-hmm.
but how to truly impact people.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I love about speaking the most. I get to go into these schools and organizations and show people that they actually matter, but
Mm-hmm.
not just motivate them and inspire them, but leave them with actionable strategies to work on it.
Yeah. So let's go back to what do you actually speak on? What is kind of your, I don't want to say platform, but what are your values and your the things that kind of drive you?
Mm. So, what I speak on is youth empowerment. For
Mm.
those who don't happen to know what youth empowerment means, it's the process of helping teens and young adults improve their self love, confidence, and overall mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that really drive me is my own experiences, where growing up, I often felt so different. Always felt like I was just this odd one out. And that's a really isolating and lonely place to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Why did you feel that way, do you think?
well, there were a lot of factors that went into it. For one, up until 11, I didn't really have friends because I wanted to go and do stuff that other kids didn't want to do. I
Mm,
wanted to go read a book. They wanted to go play sports.
yeah.
I wanted to go watch National Geographic. They wanted to go watch cartoons.
Mm,
And because of that, I was always either too much to fit in or not enough like everybody else. And as I got older, I had to learn to just accept who I am and accept what I love and be me. And as I looked around, I realized that most people, they don't ever get to that point
mm,
because they get stuck trying to be somebody that the world wants rather
yeah,
than just being them.
yeah.
So one of the biggest values that drive me is, as cheesy and cliche as people throw this around, it's just being you at your most unapologetic self.
Yeah, I love that. I also kind of grew up a little different as well too. I mean, and part of it was because we were poor, we were often made fun of. But part of it was also that I did feel like I was a little different, than my peers. I didn't care, and especially like in my teenage years, I really didn't care about like makeup or anything like that. And I was more of like a tomboy, and I think a lot of people just kind of like looked at me, and because we were poor, and I was like wearing oversized clothes and looking a little ratty and stuff like that, and just kind of a little bit more scrappy, compared to other people. I did also feel that too, and I don't even know if I've ever hit my stride. So let me ask you, how did you find people? Did you eventually find people that were kind of like you, or that were interested in the same similar things as you?
Yeah, it was a hard process because before you get to the point of like hitting that stride of just being you all the time,
Yeah.
you have to go through this phase where people are judging you and they're making fun of how you like to dress and how you talk and your hair and everything about you.
Yeah.
And only after you go through that like hard process do you find the other people who they also went through it, and you find them in the most strange ways.
Yeah.
One of my friends, I met him on a train. He just kind of jumped over to me and said, like, I love your skateboard, and was like this close to me. And I was like, hey, can you back up a bit? And we've been friends for 3 years. Another one I met while fishing.
Mm,
Others I've met while I was just on a walk down the street, and they said, I love your suit. And
mhm.
I said, wow, I love those pants. Where'd you get them?
Yeah.
They had on these like bright red oversized pants. And we just had a conversation about that. So finding your people,
Mm,
it just happens when it happens. But the only way to truly find your people is to first figure out, who am I without the world's opinion.
yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I know that, for me, because, I was different as well, it was kind of hard because I was trying to be myself, but there were so many ways that I could have like not and fit in with other people. And yeah, I've always found like, especially with bigger crowds, and they all kind of act and say similar things, and you kind of just want to like get into the groove of that. It You do find that you're kind of losing yourself in that. You
Yeah.
lose yourself with friends, you lose yourself, in relationships too. And so that's really hard, for people, is to figure out who they are and actually to be themselves and accept themselves too, for who they are. So how do you think that you do that, for the youth empowerment?
Well, one of the things I mainly teach them is journaling, because
Mm,
if you just write every day, you
yeah.
don't have to write about anything in particular. If
Mm,
you just make a habit of writing every single day, eventually you'll start to notice these patterns and these things you think about consistently.
yeah.
And then you ask yourself, well, why? Like one of mine is that I was writing about this 2 days ago, actually. So it just came to my head. There's an apartment building right across the street from my office. Like I can see it from my window here. And I want to move there. That's the place I want to live. And part of me felt selfish for that because I have a bunch of younger siblings and I help out a lot with them. So I asked myself, well, Lawrence, why do you feel selfish for wanting to move closer to where you work so that you can work more and be able to provide for your family more? What
Mm-hmm.
about that makes you feel selfish? And it came down to how when I was younger, I would put other people's needs so far above mine
Yeah.
that whenever I would take care of myself, I felt like that was a bad thing because I'm not taking care of other people.
Mm.
And we all have these like sneaky little thoughts in the back of our head that only come up when you think about it. And you have to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Because you're the only person who will ever know you as deeply as you know you.
Yep.
Now, the problem comes too where there's a lot of things in there that people don't want to know. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's characteristics in everybody like anger, frustration, stress, in all those intrusive thoughts that you have. Like you might be holding a baby and you think about throwing it because it's shaped like a football. Now,
Yes.
of course, you never do that.
Right.
But if you're not aware of your own thoughts, you aren't fully aware of you.
Yeah.
And in the process of them accepting themselves, I let them know, hey, sooner or later, you're going to get to the bad part. But it's not
Mm-hmm.
bad. It's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to control the fire rather than let the fire burn you.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. And I think you're absolutely right too that I apologize. My cat and dog are starting to fight now. They're playing. They're not fighting. They're like brother and sister. But yeah, I mean that's the thing is that to find your true self, that is something that is really hard for a lot of people because and this is something that I talk about with my coaching clients is that there are voices in our head, not in schizophrenia type of way, but there are voices in our head that tell us things. And it could be, a parent, that that implanted that voice in our head that tells us that we're not good enough or they're not proud of us or things like that we say. And I help people to disseminate that is it them telling themselves this where did that kind of phrase or thought actually come from to be able to help heal that because if it came from a parent or a friend or somebody that they really looked up to that person gave them that negative thought in their head, I always have to ask them, do you actually want to think that about yourself?
Mm,
And if you don't want to think that about yourself, what could you think about yourself better? And this is that whole fixed or negative mindset to, growth or positive mindset. And that is if they're thinking a negative thought, where did that actually come from? And figuring that one out. And then if they want to, and let's just say that that voice in their head says that they were not good enough. Did that actually come from somebody or do they really truly feel that? And do they want to feel that? And, rather than going from, the whole Ken thing, I am enough, but that whole, thing of like, I am enough instead of I'm not good enough, there's that whole leap that they have to take. And that leap is really hard for some people, especially if they've had that fixed mindset, that they're not good enough. So I always help people, to move to a neutral place where they say, I just exist.
mm.
Like it's not good, it's not bad. I exist, today. And then to move themselves to actually to that positive mindset. And that's something that's hard, for people to realize, especially when they've had that thought deeply ingrained them in them for the majority of their life.
Yeah, it is. And it's something that, like I just said, it's so ingrained in people
Mm.
that once they see it, they can't unsee it. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, you might be 45 years old or 50 or 25 or however, and you see it and you're like, wait, so I've been living my entire life based on the negative statement of my mom when I was 5 years old?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's truth. But I
Yep.
don't want that to be the truth. What is the
Yeah,
truth?
exactly. I
And
mean, and that's something that
often
like
those
oh, go ahead. I'm
and
sorry.
often those things like people saying, oh, you're not enough, there's no way you can do it. That's because they believe that they can't.
Mhm.
Like when I decided, okay, I'm going to start this business of speaking, which I started when I was 15. I just got on YouTube and started making videos one day.
Mm.
And then as time went on, I figured out how to make this like an actual legitimate business and all the legal things and, become more professional. When I first had the idea, my family looked at me like I was crazy. They're
Oh.
like, wait, Lawrence. So they weren't trying to discourage me, they just didn't understand it. Because
Mm.
you're telling us that, hey, you're going to be the first person in our family to start a business. You're going to be the first one in our family to decide you're going to be a motivational speaker. You're going to be the first one to write a book. And then you're also going to be the first one to do all of this whilst you're 15. And I was like,
Mm.
yep, I'm going to start. And they said, that's kind of crazy. I was like, well, one of two things are going to happen. It will work or it won't work. Those are the only two options. I have a 50-50 shot.
Mm.
If you have a 50-50 chance of living the life that you want to live, you should take it.
Mm.
And then all of those like doubts and worries I had, they came up in the process because I would watch the video back and I'm like, man, I'm stuttering. I keep using filler words. There's gaps. I'm going on these tangents. It's making no sense. But I had to tell myself that, okay, it's not going to make sense right now, but eventually it will. And every day you just have to take a little step forward. You notice the thought when it comes up. You might journal about it, write it out, and ask yourself, well, why do I believe that? Oh, it's because people made fun of me when I was growing up. Well, do I want to keep believing that? No. So, what can I do that shows myself that I am, at the minimum, improving? I can make another video. I can go to the gym one more time. I can read another book. I can ask somebody out because part of me feels insecure. And even if that person says no, at least I was confident enough to try.
I love that confidence to try, and a lot of people have a hard time with that because they might look at a problem like it's a mountain, when it's a molehill. Sometimes I have the opposite problem. I look at something and I'm like, "Ah, this is just, very minor," and then I get into it, and I'm like, "Oh, it's way more than I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
How do you help somebody? Well, I'm just gonna ask, like, do you do any sort of exercises or anything like that, like within your speeches or, going and talking to people? Do you have them do any visualizations other than journaling? I mean, I think that's very valid, is the journaling aspect. But is there anything else without giving away your secret sauce? So,
Oh, I give out my secret sauce all the time because the thing is, no one can do it as well as I do it.
mm,
One of the things I have people do is write out your dream life, like with no limits. Write out your dream life. How much money do you want to make? Do you want to be married? Do you want to live in Beverly Hills? Do you want a 50-bedroom mansion and a Bugatti in your driveway? Do you want a mega yacht? Do you want to be a doctor? What is your dream life? No limits.
mm.
And then after they write it out, I have them read it. They go around and they read it. Oh, I want to make $1 million a year. I want 3 houses. I want to be self-employed. I want this. I want that. Okay. Why don't you want 10 million? And they're like, well, I don't want to be greedy. Well, if you could write out your dream life, why would you not go higher than you think you can?
Mm.
And then from there, I break it down and explain how what they just wrote down is the limit of what they currently believe is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you believe is possible, you'll stop yourself there. This is why people, they can work for 30, 40, 50 years, their whole life, and they never cross a certain income amount. Because it's not a matter of skill. It's not a matter of knowledge. It's not a matter of ability. It's they don't believe that they're capable of going to that higher level.
Limited
Someone could,
belief. That's
yeah,
what we call it in coaching. Limited belief. You have a limited belief in yourself or what you can do.
yeah, because there's people who make millions of dollars a day. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you need to strive to make like crazy amount of money or that you need to be the next Warren Buffett, but whatever your dream life is, write it down and then ask yourself, is this all that is possible for me? Like, is if I got this, would this be absolutely everything I'd want? Now, then after you do that, take away the stuff that you don't want. Like
Mm.
ask yourself, all right, in a week from now, when I read this again, do I still want that stuff? Like, was I just throwing stuff in there because that's what the world said I should want?
Yeah.
Or is it actually what I want?
Mm.
Because maybe you want to live in a cabin in the woods and become a lumberjack. That might be your absolute dream life. If that's your dream life, go for that. Don't try to become a millionaire if your dream life is being a lumberjack.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And actually, just to go back to Zig Ziglar too, I followed the podcast, the Zig Ziglar podcast, for a long time, and actually met a lot of the Zig Ziglar team members. But one of the things that really got me is the question of what will that get you? And that is a constant question that they ask within their coaching is what will that get you? And it really helps to understand your true motivation. And they made the example of Zig Ziglar went in and was talking to an executive and trying to get them to buy whatever he was selling. I don't remember what it was, and he was just like, hey, what do you want? He's like, well, I really want my employees to be happy. And they said, oh, okay, well, what will that get you if your employees are happy? And they said, well, if my employees are happy, then we probably will be making more money, as a business and thriving. Okay, well, what will that get you? And then they kept going, what will that get? Well, yeah, well, like over and over and over again, asking the same question to get to the core of that executive just wanted to be able to take time away from the business whenever they could, to go and spend time with their grandchildren in a cabin that they had owned. And that was the core of it, is that they wanted, yes, business growth, they wanted people to be happy, but their ultimate happiness was is that dream of being able to take time away, and they didn't have to worry about the business, they didn't have to worry about the employees, they didn't have to worry about everybody that they worked with. And I think that's wonderful, is to do that exercise. And in project management, we call it the why, the 5 why method. Like why, why is what you ask, several times to help get to the core of what are you trying to actually achieve here. And I love that that's powerful, is to ask yourself those kind of questions so you can come to what is your true motivation? What is your true self in there too, of uncovering all of that, because we do have layers of expectations from other people, or the expectations that we've always had for our lives. And once again, those limited beliefs, or maybe those fixed beliefs too, that we had in our lives. That's something too. Like for me growing up, I said I wanted to have a child by the time I was 28. I had one when I was 27, made that a goal. But why did I fix that on myself, that I had to have a child? And that actually kind of forced me to marry somebody that I didn't really want to marry. It kind of forced me, to make that path for myself, when I just said I didn't need to do that to myself, to put those goals and expectations on myself, because that made me do things, in my life, that the path that I didn't want to go down. And now being divorced, that's something that I never wanted for myself either. But putting those kind of goals on yourself and saying this must be done by this certain time. And I never stopped to ask myself why. I
Yeah.
think that's something that people need to do is, when they set a target for themselves, what is that going to, and especially if it's a target that's going to be completely life changing, like I need to be married by this certain time. I need to graduate college by this certain time. I need to make sure that I, go to Germany, by 2027, like all of those kind of things. Some of them can be very motivating and very uplifting, and you actually set a goal, but some of them can be very damaging to your life too.
Yes. And something you just unknowingly brought up is how your mind, whatever you tell it and say, like with emotional conviction, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do,
Mm.
it will go to these insane lengths to make it happen. There was a book that I just finished reading. It was called The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And you can summarize the book as this: whatever you put your emotional energy on as you drift off to sleep, somehow, some way, it will happen.
Mm.
And it will happen in ways that defy all logic. Because to say that I'm going to have a kid by 28, I'm going to be married by this specific age, I'm going to go to Germany by this specific time.
Mm.
More than likely, I'm going to assume that having a kid, being married, going to Germany were things that you had a lot of emotional energy on. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I really want. I'm going to love this. I'm going to be married. I'm going to have a kid. It's going to be so beautiful.
Yeah.
All of that emotional energy, it was fueling this specific goal. And your mind was like, okay, we're going to make this happen. We're going to go on XYZ amount of dates. We're going to do this, that. And if you trace everything back that happened from you first saying, I'm going to have a kid by 28, to you having a kid at 27, which was the goal accomplished, it's going to make zero logical sense. And this is why it's so important that we be aware of what we think, what we believe, and what we really hold on to. Because your mind doesn't differentiate between good and bad.
Yeah.
All it says is, this is what you want. So if you say, I don't want this to happen, I really don't want this to happen, I really don't want this to happen, it hears want this to happen. It doesn't hear don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't hear I don't like this. It just hears like this, want that.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. Kind of like a bullet train, it just keeps going and it's on the path, and there's no stopping it, sometimes in people's brains. I just
Yeah,
want to make it clear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, and I have a little brother who's 1. And when you tell a baby, don't do something,
Yeah.
they hear do something. Don't touch the stove. They will immediately go touch the stove.
Yep.
Don't try and stuff an entire roll of toilet paper down the toilet. They're going to go do it.
Yeah.
And if you tell them, clean your room, they'll clean it. More often than not, if they feel like it. But
Yep.
then again, that's because they felt like it.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about it. They just feel, hey, this is what I want to do. And your mind also is the same way. Like me being, so I'm currently 19 and I run a business, writing books, speaking, traveling the country, doing all that stuff. That's very illogical. It doesn't make any logical sense how I do that.
Yeah.
But because I had so much emotional conviction about this goal when I was 15, things happened, such as I was actually thinking about this last night before this episode because I knew somehow this was going to come up. So I have a website that was designed for me by somebody in India. And I met that person through a lady who lived in California. For a month before meeting that lady who lived in California, I was saying to myself, someone from California is going to reach out to me to do a speaking engagement. She reached out to me to be a guest on her podcast. And when I met her, it happened because I put a message in a group on LinkedIn, and then she found me from there. Now, fast forward about 9 months, and I happened to become a member of an organization that so come happens to run that LinkedIn group without me having ever known that they did.
Wow.
So, on paper, me getting a website built by somebody who lives in India because I met a lady who lived in California, because I kept saying someone from California is going to reach out to me, and she reached out to me from a group that I put a message in that is ran by an organization that I then joined 9 months later. No logical sense.
Yeah.
How did it happen though? Emotional conviction. And your mind will somehow, some way cause things to happen that are out of your control that ultimately lead to whatever you tell it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That is really powerful. And I gotta say that I had a kind of a similar thing, except for it was a little deflated in the end. So I don't normally look at my horoscope, but every once in a while I'll look at it, especially if I'm feeling kind of like um I just need a positive words or something like that to read. It was the beginning of September and I really just needed some positive words, to read to hopefully my horoscope says that you're going to have a positive day or something good's going to happen or watch out for this or like, in a good way, like, watch out for the color yellow, follow the color yellow. It's going to lead you to another opportunity. And so on September 4th, my horoscope said that I don't remember what the first sentence is. It was just two sentences. But then it said, something that like, a big surprise or big promotion or, big something was going to happen on October 28th. And I was like, and this is September 1st that it said, or September 4th that it said that. And I was like, first of all, October 28th is my birthday. So I was like, whoa, okay, like something big's going to happen on my birthday. I'm like, I'm excited because nothing happens on my birthday normally, and so I was like really excited, for the day. And of course, I waited like 2 months for the day to come around for my birthday. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for something big to happen. And nothing big happened. Nice things happen, but nothing like really big. But I don't know what I was expecting, and obviously it's just some words that somebody wrote, to me, I don't really, look into it too much because everybody has their own interpretation of like what's in the stars and everything. But I don't know why I was expecting something big, to happen. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they mean next October 28th. Who knows,
Well, the interesting thing that you just brought up there was like expecting something big. So when I was thinking about trying to figure out a way to like show this. So hopefully you guys are able to, let me see if I can like angle the webcam towards it properly. So right there is a vision board that I made.
Oh, wow.
And
that's cool.
Yeah, and it just has stuff about like speeches, how much money I want to make. Let's get that on there proper. And just how much money I want to make, me giving a speech, traveling on a plane, world's best youth empowerment speaker, all that great stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say to yourself, I'm expecting something big to happen, you have to define what.
Yeah.
It's like imagine your mind is like a waiter. And you're at a restaurant and you say, the waiter comes to you and says, all right, well, what do you want? I'm hungry. I want food. What do you want? Food. What do you want? Food. Okay, here's a piece of bread. I don't want a piece of bread. This isn't big enough. Well, what do you want? Chinese food. What do you want? Chinese food. Here's a spring roll. This isn't big enough. I don't want this. Okay, here's shrimp lo mein. I'm allergic to seafood. Well, what do you want? You said Chinese food. I gave you Chinese food.
Yeah.
You said I want something good to happen.
Yeah.
I gave you something good, but no, this isn't big enough. Well, what do you want?
Yeah.
And it doesn't care what you say you want. You could say you want poison pufferfish. It'll give you that.
Yeah.
You
That's
could
very
say, man,
true.
I'm so afraid that I'm going to get into a car crash and everything's going to burn. It's going to be so terrible. It'll give you that.
Yeah.
This is why if you're driving a car, the worst thing you can do
Yeah.
is worry, because it'll give you exactly what you would say to yourself. I don't want something bad to happen, but actually you kind of do because you
Mm.
care so much about it.
Mhm.
It's the mind is really backwards in that way, and that's something that I try to explain to teens, young adults when I speak there, because
Mm.
it's such an illogical thing, but once you see it play out, now you see it. Like there's people I've met who suddenly become really sick because they're worried about becoming sick.
Yeah.
There's people I've met who suddenly really good things happen in their life, and specific things like getting a specific car. You can't say, I want a new car. You
Mm.
have to say, well, what car do you want? What color do you want it? What make? What model? Which is why on that vision board, I don't just have a picture of an apartment. I have a picture of the exact unit that I want in the
Mm.
exact building, in the exact city. The more exact you are with what you want, the more exact you can get that thing.
And thank you for that too. I mean, because yeah, I mean, I did have like 2 things in mind that I wish had happened on my birthday. Like there was things that, I'm really like focused on, in my life, that I want, or that I need, or, that I just really wish for. And I actually went out I'm going to make a quick clarification. Having a child at 27, marrying, somebody and everything, I just want to say my child is the absolute most wonderful thing that ever happened in my life. So my child listens to this podcast too. So I just want to make a clarification that my child is just absolutely perfect, and I'm so glad that my life took that I went down that path and everything, or else I wouldn't have my child. But anyway, just to go back, I digress here. But that's one thing is that it wasn't like fully formed. It was almost like there was like I could see some colored smoke and everything of exactly what I wanted. But if for the big thing that was going to happen on my birthday, I should have focused a lot more on the maybe specifics, of it too, to hopefully that it manifests itself. But I think you're also absolutely right too, is that there is confirmation bias that we have in a lot of things, that if we think we're going to get sick, we are going to get sick,
Oh yeah.
and that like any sort of like ailment or something like that pops up for us, we're like, here it is, that's it, that sort of thing. And so of course that's what confirmation bias is that you are only focused on the confirmation, rather than that you're alive and healthy, that
Yeah.
you're going to get sick. And so yeah, those kind of things happen
And
for a lot of people.
yeah, and something that again, I don't know how exactly to explain, but you keep unknowingly jogging my memory on certain things.
Mm.
So with confirmation bias, I used to practice that a lot, because when I first heard about this sort of stuff like Neville Goddard and Napoleon Hill, when I was 15, I thought they're just making this sort of stuff up. This had to be some sort of like woo-woo spirituality stuff. But I'm going to try it out just to see like if it really is true.
Yeah.
And I would have days when I would just, again, write down how my day went, just from an unbiased opinion. This happened, that happened, that happened, that
Mm.
happened. So I would wake up in the morning and I would say, today's going to be a bad day.
Mm.
And I would do this for a couple of weeks. And I would write down, this happened, that happened, that happened, that happened.
Yep.
Not my opinion, just here's what happened. And then I said, today's going to be a good morning. And I did that for a couple of weeks. This happened, that happened, that happened. And I noticed, okay, when I say it's a bad morning, it's bad. When
Yeah.
I say it's a good morning, it's good. Not my
Mm-hmm.
feelings on it. Just here are objective, provable things that are better. Here are objective, provable things that are bad.
Yeah.
And I happened to go to a music school. And when I was a kid, one of the things I loved doing was actually reading the dictionary.
Mm.
I wanted to find out like the meaning behind words and the
Yeah.
origin of them because the word universe, you have universe. Verse is music,
Mm.
and everything like atoms vibrate. So music is just a specific vibration of these atoms that your brain hears as sound.
Mm.
So if you took everything, you could convert it into music notes and play that, and you would have that thing. So, as weird as it sounds, a door has certain music notes that you just can't hear. But if you could, you would hear a door.
Mm.
So then you have you. That would mean that everything is existing not just outside of you, like how this microphone is physically outside of me, but it's also within how you see the entire world. So your beliefs actually do, in fact, create your world. It sounds weird, but
Mm.
if you try it out long enough, you'll start to notice the more I believe that life is going to be good, the
Mm-hmm.
better life becomes. There were people during the Great Depression where there's no money in the economy, everything's terrible, people are starving, it's all so terrible. There were people who became millionaires during that time. And they interviewed them and said, well, how in the world did you become a millionaire during a time of mass poverty? Oh, I believed that I wasn't in massive poverty. These are people who went from actually being in poverty to becoming millionaires during a time of poverty because they believed with unwavering conviction that, yeah, that's happening outside of me, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not happening to me. I'll
Wow.
figure it out.
Wow, that's amazing. I feel like that's a mic drop moment right there.
Oh, it
Going,
is.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
it's one of those things that like until you try it, you think that there's no way that's true. But
Mm-hmm.
you look throughout history, you have people who have overcome like Theodore Roosevelt.
Mm.
He had asthma. He was severely sick as a child. He had a lot of illnesses and he cured them. Obviously, this isn't medical advice, just so people know. This is just what he did. And he cured them by working out to an insane extent, by
Mm.
running, by weightlifting, by yoga, by meditation, journaling, all these things. And eventually, he got shot and assassinated at a well, he didn't die. He got shot at a speech, like someone tried to assassinate him.
Mm.
And mid speech, after being shot, he just carries on with his speech because the bullet got stopped by a Bible. They asked him, how in the world did that just happen? He said, oh, God protecting me. Pretty
Wow.
interesting coincidence that the one part of his body where that was shot
Mm-hmm.
happened to be the one spot where the Bible was on an avid Christian. Pretty interesting coincidence there.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Really, I know we got to wrap it up because, we're a little over time, but thank you so much. Where can people find you?
Oh, I make myself very easy. All of my social media, so YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram are Lawrence C. Empowered.
Mm.
And in case you have any podcast host, school principal, or you're looking to purchase my books, you can find those on lawrenceharris.com. That is where you can book me, contact me, and get my services.
Wonderful. Well, I'll definitely put that in the show notes as well, too, so people can get a hold of you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you. I loved it.
All right. Well, good. Well, I will, yeah, let's wrap it up, I think.
Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, you too.